Welcome to another episode of Break Time, the show that pumps the brakes on the busy lives of our guests, allowing them to slow down and open up. I'm Caroline Willis, and today we're chatting to Bridgene Keeley, Sales and Marketing Director of the multi-award-winning, family-owned McKeever Hotel Group. So Bridgene is a dynamic hospitality leader and a driving force behind the success and continued growth of McKeever Hotels, one of Northern Ireland's most respected family-owned hotel groups. Known for her people-first approach and passion for authentic guest experience, Bridgene plays a key role in shaping the group's culture, strategy, and commitment to exceptional service. So Bridgene, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Caroline. It's lovely to be here in Shelburne Motors today.
Great. We'll get started, and I suppose I want to go back a few years. Our childhoods are very similar, looking at them. And as a kid with my brothers playing in the Shelburne playground as we did, we got up to all sorts. It was a small petrol station. And of course, Dad used to rope us into chores like serving the petrol, cleaning the cars. And I know that you had a similar experience when you were growing up and when the family moved into Granite House in Randallstown. So can you give us a bit of an insight to that?
I can, yeah. I suppose it was an unconventional childhood, shall we say. My kids say to me now, oh, I love to own a sweet shop. And I'm like, why? Because you can eat all the sweeties. And I think people think that's what our childhood was like. We had so much fun. Like, we were living above a restaurant and a bar, you could imagine, in the 80s. Like, it was mad, but it was really, really good fun. But it's where we really learned about hard work. Like, we watched our parents work 24/7. That's what hospitality is. It is a 24/7 business. We were involved in chores, as they were called at the time, but stock rotation, which we now know is what we were doing, collecting glasses and busy bars. There was no dishwashers. You were the dishwasher washing dishes from a really, really young age, but we loved it. I suppose Eddie and I, my brother, who's the MD of the company, we really got our passion from that side of it. And then we've 3 younger sisters who aren't currently in the business, but I think it's because we'd moved out of the business, living above it, by the time they were born. So we moved out into a different home. And all of us worked in the business at some point, but Eddie and I really got that passion. And I do believe it was those early days on the boat. Did we get up to mischief? Absolutely. Did we drive the staff and team mental? Yes. We've 2 people who still actually work in the business now, Rosie and Avril. They both work in Dunsilly, and they were there when we were kids. And some of the things they say, and it's really funny because you're going, no, I'm a professional, I'm a leader. And they're like, I remember you.
I know.
Trying to pinch the pavlova.
Yeah. And even going back at the memories, and you talked about Rosie, and I am sure you and Eddie got up to some mischief. Is there 1 or 2 things that you sort of think, oh, do you remember we did that?
There's so many things. There is so many things. Out the back, there used to be just a hallway and it led out onto the main street. So that's where all the deliveries and things would have been kept. And we would quite regularly be in there getting bottles of lemonade because we weren't allowed anything like that. It was like, that's the profits, you know, because every penny was a prisoner in those days. We would be out there trying to sneak, or we would be upstairs in the lounge area, which it was. And there was a TV that had 2 channels, but you had to hold the aerial up behind it. So we used to make our younger sister stand and hold the aerial. But when she was holding it, she couldn't see it. So she would have to try to look round. But when she did that, it would go out of sync. And we're like, that was so bad.
Or were they
just made her stand there
holding
TVs
it as well? They were
the button TVs, yeah. Or we used to, like, when I think about it now, like, now that I have kids, oh my goodness, like, the whole restaurant bar would be packed. There was an event space as well. So Dad was chef, he was in the kitchen, Mum was waitressing. It was busy. And our whole goal was to see if we could get down the stairs, out the front door, round the side, in through the kitchen and back up without being noticed. Now, we always get noticed. We barely made it out the front door. But when I think about it, like, we were just running out onto the main street and like, my mum's head was turned. I don't know how she kept seeing all those years.
And trying to keep control of the front house and watching out the side eye what exactly are those 2 at.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing. We look back on it and think about the fun and the mischief and the adventures that we had. There was a greenhouse on the top and we used to sneak out the bathroom window. So it was on the roof. And again, that's where like the spirits and stuff would be held. And we used to go in there and just hang out in this greenhouse. I don't know why, but it was like our hut. And it was a lot of fun. We have a lot of really, really lovely memories from that. I think then as you get older and you're an adult and you're talking to my mum and dad about those early experiences. And I remember them saying it was the hardest time of their life. And I was quite shocked at that because I was going, but it was so much fun and it was great. And but then when you understand the worries and the pressures and the stress and the 24/7 working and then having 5 kids and trying to keep it all going, and it was really, really tough. And it was on the backdrop of a time when Northern Ireland wasn't very stable, and trying to make any business work was quite difficult. And you know, I look back now, I have 2 kids and go, how did you do that? I just
we were
don't get it. I don't understand how they did it.
Yeah, we had great fun. And, you know, the back of the garage, probably where the most risk was for children to be at. And looking back, the memories, you know, and that's the fun, the dinner time stories, and even shocking your own children with those stories. And you did what?
I know.
You know, so because they can't quite comprehend why you would be doing that.
Yeah, and in some ways I think it's really nice. It was, maybe it's because you're a child, you always feel it, there's a freedom, but I feel that there was more of a freedom then, you know. Like I probably am a bit more of a helicopter parent, you know, going about risk and what could happen. And is it that we are much more aware, or is it that we know much more, like we've access to information? I don't know, but I do remember those days it being quite freeing, and there was adventure around every corner is how it felt.
Liberating.
Yes.
Yeah. And you talked about your parents, and they've been such hard workers over the years, as you rightly say. And in several interviews, you know, you've mentioned about your mum. What a woman. She's, you know, full-time teacher, lecturing 2 nights a week.
Yes.
Running the front of house.
Yes.
5 children.
Yeah.
Medal on the inside for sure. And that, you know, in the early days that you and Eddie were helping out with the dishes and the stock control, turn over the beds, how important for you to look at your mum and I think such an inspirational woman to carry all that out. And when you look back now, how does that feed into your work ethic today? I
just admire her so much. As I know she's my mum and everybody admires her mum, but like really looking at her from a person and how she did it all, I just don't know how she did it all. And how she did it all with such grace. You know, she never, through any trials and tribulations, and there have been many, did she ever become bitter or, you know, short-tempered. She always was giving, and she still gives to everybody. If somebody, anybody in our team, we've 600 people work for us now, and if somebody said, can I speak to you, and they had a real personal issue, she would take time and sit down and talk to them from a real empathetic, caring, what's best for you and not what's best for the company. You know, it's really about full giving genuinely to other people, and she's always been like that, and I really, really admire that. I suppose that's something that I try to emulate in my work. You know, people are just, they're everything. They're everything in our business. They're our customers. Yeah. They're what makes the business work. You know, you can have a beautiful hospitality brand, but it really doesn't matter if you don't have the people to operate it, and if you're not looking after the people that come in and see you. And I tried to do for others what my mum did for me and many others, and I watched her do over the years, and be that person that people can come to for leadership, support, coaching, or sometimes just to say, do you know what, I'm really struggling. It might be nothing to do with the business, but they just need somebody to talk to for 5 minutes to go, I just needed to let you know that this is what's happening in my outside world. And, you know, that you can maybe, if you can't do anything to fix it or help it, you know, you can definitely give somebody 5 minutes of your time to...
Yeah, you lend an ear.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's so important. And it's probably similar with you guys that you employ so many people now, and like life is life. Life is going to happen to us all. You know, you're not going to escape it. You're going to have incredible highs and you're going to have incredible lows. And I think as leaders in organizations who employ many, many people within the community, that's a responsibility that we have to make sure that people get support when they need and be kind. And like what we do impacts everybody. It impacts their daily work, but that will also impact how they're showing up at home for their friends and family and their kids, and how they're showing up in their community. And I think we need to be aware of that as leaders.
And that's the nice thing about a family business as well. There's a real family ethos with that. You try to deliver down into your teams as well.
Yes.
You want everyone to feel like a family. It's not even the awards, the accolades. It's everybody. It's a teamwork.
It absolutely is. My dad always had a saying, and maybe it's because, like yourselves, we grew up through doing everything from the ground up, And my dad was a dishwasher before he was ever a chef. And he said, if the dishwasher doesn't do their job properly, it doesn't matter what the head chef does. And everybody is equally important because everybody has a role to play to make sure that the customer is looked after.
Yeah.
And that is true of any business. Like I started in housekeeping and reception and through events and different things like that. Eddie went through the bars, restaurant side of it. Dad obviously went up through chefing, and Mum, well, she was just a front of house legend,
Yeah.
But she started very young in hospitality as well, like a lot of young people did. And I do think that really changes your outlook. You understand the pressure points people are going through. You understand their job and how difficult it is and why maybe one department doesn't see another department's difficulties and so forth. So we try to smooth out those communication, go, this is what they're feeling, and don't go into the chefs and ask them for a menu in the middle of lunchtime. It's those sorts of things that you need to be aware of.
Hospitality gives you great grounding. I did it for a while. I worked in a bar. My daughter is the same, and the level of customer service, you have to be kind, you have to be empathetic, you have to be everything. So it's a great grounding to start off with.
We are on a mission to change the perception of hospitality. And I do think, and I've said it for years, it doesn't matter what career you aspire to go into. It really doesn't matter. You could be doctors, accountants. You need to be able to speak to people. And especially in today's era with it's technology, it's phones, and that's all great. But we see young people coming in now who they can't make eye contact. You're trying to encourage them to go towards customers. And what hospitality does, or retail for that matter, is you have to deal with problems there and then. You have to learn to speak to people. You have to see other personalities, teamwork, all those soft skills that you're just not getting through education, academics anymore, and outside world really, because it's all technology. You see groups of friends texted each other, they're sitting beside each other. And that's what we provide. And I've seen recently, it was on The Insider or something like that, but an accountancy firm in England have now partnered with a hospitality company that all of their graduates have to go and do 6 months in hospitality in this hospitality company to learn those skills. And I was like, yes, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah. That's great to see. When the early days in Granite House, there was an opportunity arose in 1993 to buy Coors Corner. Mm-hmm. And essentially, this is where, I suppose, the start of the McKeever Group really blossomed. So just how special is Coors for your family business?
Coors is the baby. You don't dare say anything bad about Coors at all. Do you know what? It's really the heart of the business. It always has been. We look at it like the father figure, that's the protector of the business. The whole business has been
the founder,
built, on the back of Coors and what was taught there. And we still send, that's the first place that any junior managers go on their rotation to get that real grounding. And the teams have been there for years and years and years. And they've always had a sense of, you come in and we will train you up. That's always happened from my dad's first day in it. Because how he actually got working there was he was in a field across the road, and John Core, who was the original owner, it was a bar restaurant at the time, thought he looked like a good worker, him and his brother, and went over and said, if you need a job sometime, come and see me. And Dad and his brother, being 12 and 11, I think, went and knocked on his door, and he was sent into the kitchen to wash dishes. And his brother Jerry, who sadly passed away a few years ago now, he was sent to the bar, and that defined their careers.
Yeah.
John then put Dad through chefing exams, so he ended up being head chef when early 20s and was head chef there for 11 years. But that was because John gave him the opportunities and the learnings and the teachings and the ability to go and get those qualifications. So when Dad was leaving, it was a real lurch for him and John, I think. But it's something that we've carried through. So then John called him 7 years later and said that he was done. He wanted to retire. and that Dad had always been like a son to him, but he needed to get the money together. So that was a massive step. And when you speak to my dad, he says it was the biggest, I suppose, sense of reality, you know, that he remembers John shaking his hand and leaving, and Dad sat in his seat. So the seat that he had looked at as the boss. And he says he just felt so overwhelmed going, can I do this? You know, and, but he could, obviously, like he did.
It was that self-belief.
It was that self-belief. But now as a company, we have a big learning culture, and we have people coming in like teenagers out of school. We've a lot of people come in without qualifications and maybe didn't do well under the academic sort of umbrella. And they go through, and we've pathways right through to degree level, to senior management. And most of our GMs have came through from waiters, waitresses, like receptionists, you know, and right through into senior management. And I think that's something really to be proud of. But that it's all rooted in what Coors did and the heart that's there.
And it was all timing, wasn't it? Life is all about timing. Happened to be there and
seeing the opportunities, I think, and grabbing them.
Yeah.
You know, because like Dad said, and Mum said, like, she was a teacher and he was a head chef. They had a lovely bungalow in Glengormley. They were comfortably off, but they risked everything to follow their dream and their passion and take an opportunity, and worked for years and years and years nonstop on all the stress to make that happen. And they're still working, you know, they're still have the passion for it. Yeah, at the center of it, you know. So I think, it's opportunities and bravery, you know, willing to take those.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, your parents purchased the Dunsilly Arms in 1999. You were on a gap year at uni.
Yes.
From your business and marketing degree. But you were adamant this was not for you. You were going to forge on with marketing. So can you tell me about the passion that you had for marketing then? And I suppose what your intentions were at that point?
My intentions at the ripe old age of 20 or whatever age I was at that point was to forge my own way. I'd done my time in the family business, mostly unpaid, as you know, like as a youngster. But I really wanted to get into a big brand company, you know, to really learn about marketing and global and everything else. I suppose I never thought in my wildest dreams that we could potentially come that ourselves. Yeah. I remember applying for different places for gap years and really wanted that sort of, I don't know, a new adventure, I suppose, because I felt like I knew hospitality so well. Like, so you know more in your 20s than you do ever.
Of course we do.
The rest of your life. You get to your 40s and you go, oh, right, well, didn't really know that much. But so that's what I wanted to do. And I remember my dad saying to me, we are about to open a hotel and you will never get more experience than creating and starting a brand. No matter where you go, you can go to a global company and you'll be making the coffee and put on small projects, but like you will be immersed in this. And he was right. So I was
You'll like, own this. This will be
this is
part
yours.
of your legacy.
You can do this, you know. I think at 23, again, it shows, I suppose, blissfully unaware, if you like to call it that. It was originally branded the Comfort Hotel. And the reason being that the Tourist Board and Invest NI wanted international brands into Northern Ireland. The only international brand in Northern Ireland at that time was the Hilton in Belfast. You can believe that. It's crazy, like how young the tourism industry is in Northern Ireland. So they were encouraging more brands in, and there was grant funding to put on a brand. So they went with the Comfort brand because it was the only brand that didn't charge commission on food and beverage. It only charged commission on rooms. And because they are from a big food and beverage background, they weren't willing to sacrifice that because of the margins are so small. After a few years, it really just wasn't aligning with our customers and who we were at our heart. It really wasn't speaking
your values.
To who we were. And I remember pitching that we needed to rebrand. We needed to get rid of the franchise. And the team at the time, like, as branding and marketing and everything was quite young in a sense, especially in Northern Ireland. Like, there wasn't really an understanding. It was sort of seen as the fluff you do over here.
Yeah, the colour and in bit,
Yeah. And they were like, oh, like a mission statement. And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, like a tagline. And I was like, no, that's that's not it either. So I convinced them at 23. I don't know how. They must have much more trusted me than I actually realized. And I started rebranding this business, this entire hotel on my own with no agency. I was just like, I can do this. I ran focus groups. I used all the best knowledge I took from the Ulster University and put it together, and had a local graphic designer work on the logo and different things like that. And I remember we then got cold feet because I was sort of like, oh, I don't know if I've done this right. I've never done something like this before. And we brought in an expert, and he said, it'll take us 3 days. We're going to go through with the whole team. We're going to go through everything. And by the middle of the second day, he said to my dad, you're wasting your money. You've cracked it. It's done. So Excellent. That was really good. And the best moment out of the whole thing for me was we literally changed the brand overnight. Like everything changed. The frontages on the bars, the glassware, uniforms. We'd sticky notes at reception saying, welcome to Dunsilly Hotel. How may I take your call? Because you're trying to change everything.
Promote the brand.
And that night, the new signage was going up outside, and 2 customers that came walking out of the bar, and we're all standing looking up like, and they turned around to look up, and we goes, well, what do you think? And this is, now you belong. And that for me was one of the biggest moments. And that was really when I went, we have to follow our heart, and we have to follow our community and our values and what we believe, because that's what makes it fun. That's what makes business fun. Otherwise, you're just a corporation, and you make money and all that, but there's no fun in that. There's no joy. There's no community. And that's what really...
And do you think that going back to that point, that was the moment that you went, yes, this is for me?
Absolutely. That was the moment I went, we have a purpose here, and we can do something with this purpose, and we can mean something to people and to communities, and I want to be part of that, and that was a big moment.
But you didn't get it easy either, because your parents put you through the ringer a little bit, and they actually asked you to interview.
They did. So yes, my parents, and rightly so, they're not...
You weren't getting it handy, let's just say.
You weren't getting it handy. And regardless if you're a family member or not, you don't have a seat unless you deserve a seat. Yep. And that is their philosophy. It's the best person for the seat. Yep. So they made me interview, and it was like, the interview question, tell us what you know about this company. And I was like, are you actually serious? And they were like,
let me tell you.
And they said to me, if you can't take this interview seriously, how are you going to take this business seriously? And suddenly, you start panicking. I started sweating a wee bit and going, oh,
I should have prepped for this.
Yes. And this is serious. And I think it was a really good grounding going, you're not here because your surname's McKeever. You're here if you can do the job, and you need to be serious about it. And that really set a ground level where I went, right, let's go. This is a profession. It's a professional career now. This isn't, mum and dad's business will go down the Saturday and we'll mess around. And,
Yeah, you're in it. You're fully
in. Yeah.
You're fully committed at that point. And now you have 7 hotels in the portfolio, and you have ran loads of marketing campaigns for these hotels, but you're bound to have a favourite.
Do you know what? Favourites for different reasons. Like, I genuinely do love them all. Like, don't get me wrong, they all make me incredibly frustrated at times too. Do you know, and we look at it like it's a family, and that's what we always say. They're like different family members. So like I said, course, it's the daddy. Yeah. It's the dad. Dunsilly, we always looked at like the teenager, because Dunsilly, we going along great, and you're like giving them advice, and the brand's going great, and then it would turn itself over, and you're going, get back in the straight and narrow, like Dylan's is like the fun Irish cousin. Everybody loves to go down there. When you go down there, everybody loves to see you. They probably love to see us go too, but like, let's be honest. But there's like a real fun energy down there. Yeah. Like, we're not entirely sure what Armagh is. It's our new property
new
there. New baby. So we have to see where it slots into the family, but they do all have their personalities. And when I'm pitching to designers or graphic designers or to people explaining the company, I'm like, they're siblings, they're not identical twins.
Yeah,
So
they've all got their own
they've
unique.
all got their own unique, and we've such loyal customers. Like, we're really, really lucky. And when we get somewhere new, they all go and try it and tell us, and they all have their favorite, and they've their favorite for their own reason, you know.
A memory or
Memories,
something
legacies,
that happened. Yeah,
something that happened, or just I prefer this surrounding, you know, I prefer this comfort, and different things like that. Yeah.
So the group has went from Dunsilly to the Adair Arms, to the Letterkenny Court, to the Dunadry, to Dillon's, to the Lodge, and then most recently then the Armagh City Hotel. Has it been difficult to balance that expansion and still bring the family values the whole way through each one of those hotels as well? And into the teams?
I think especially now, like, we've grown incredibly fast over the last 18 months. You know, we bought over the Lodge Hotel in Coleraine, which was a new area for us up the coast, and then Armagh City Hotel, which is a fantastic property, and it's huge. It's so much potential. That brought us to a point where before we could drive between them all quite easily, you know. Now you've 7, so that's not even one a day if you want to do them all in the 1 week. And it really brought us to a point where we were like, we have to start managing different. And we went through something like this during COVID. So COVID shut us down, obviously. And then we opened shut multiple times during that 2-year period. But we were really fortunate. And you were saying about timing earlier. We were really, really fortunate that we had just brought on a non-executive director, Dr. Tony Lenihan. And he was brought on to really get us strategically in a better place in governance, and putting in strategic board meetings, not just sitting around the kitchen table, and different things like that. So he was in with us when this pandemic hit, and really made us focus on like consolidating and before we do growth. So it was recovery, consolidation, growth. So it was a 3-stage strategy over 3 to 5 years. And he made us launch it to our stakeholders. And we thought, who is going to come and listen to this? Like, people are busy, they have their own things going on. And we were really shocked. There was 100 stakeholders came and really were excited about it. And now we've done it for every new strategy. We invite the stakeholders in and say, this is what we're going to do. But he changed how we operated in terms of, he gave us governance, he gave us board meetings, he gave us strategic vision, instead of just running from hotel to hotel, looking for the problem, looking for the noise, you know, what's happening here, what's the problems, tell me all the problems, and then run about trying to fix them regardless of what they are. We became much more strategic and forward thinking and planning, budgeting, things that we'd never done before.
You probably did do it, but in a slightly different way,
ad hoc
way,
so now that we've had Lodge and Armagh City on board, we're sort of changing the way we're doing it again, because we need executive teams. Like, we need specialists. I'm not the best marketeer in the world, absolutely far from it. So I need the best, you know, and it's moved so quickly. And I think as much as you get great experience in the family business and growing a business, at some point you have to realize, and you have to be big enough to realize, that my experience has been across multiple things as opposed to specializing in one. So I can grow and develop brands and companies, but I'm not a specialist in marketing anymore. There's so many more strings to that bow.
Yeah. And the new technology, there's so much out there now that we have to put our trust
absolutely and
in the hands of people that could do it better.
Like rate strategies. Like I said, rate strategy, but not to the level that the people that I now have working with us can, because it's what they are specialists in. You know, that's what they live and breathe.
Let them get on with it.
And let them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Let go. Trust. Yeah. Trust them, you know.
And that's really hard. We find that as well. You know, we've been on this journey, we've built this business, and now we get to a certain size, we have to give some of it over. We have to trust the teams. But it's also that we've worked with these teams for so long that we know them, their family. It's a much easier transition to give that over as well. And you're exactly the same with your teams. Yeah. And you mentioned COVID. So that was especially cruel in the hospitality industry. Yes. It was harsh. We saw it. We obviously everybody had closed, and some businesses never came back from it. So can you give us an insight as to how you helped plan that? Because that was really rocked the industry, didn't it?
It really rocked the industry. It was a really scary time. It was a very emotional time. Like my parents were saying, like our life's work has just been ripped from under us.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know whether we would ever get back up. Nobody did. Nobody
the uncertainty.
did. And hotels are big assets, are big beasts that need heat, light, power. Like we were still in every day, and there's nowhere sadder than an empty hotel. There really isn't.
Or an empty showroom.
Yes, exactly. You know, to see that just sitting empty. And I suppose the thing that really saved us, or that we went to, was our values. And I know people say about values a lot, but we really, really lived by them. Like we kept in contact with all of our teams. There was people saying to us, listen, I'm really struggling, home, really isolated. And we said, well, listen, if there's somebody here every day, if you want to come in, help flush toilets, come on, you know, absolutely. Obviously with the distancing and everything else. We had a customer who recently passed away there, and he'd been a long-term customer, and he lived on his own, and his daily routine was to get up, get the paper, come to Coors, have his drink, have his lunch. And during COVID, one of the managers went by and seen him sitting at a bus stop. And we were like, that's terrible, you know. He had nowhere to go. So he had phoned him to check in to see how he was. And he's like, listen, I'm here flushing toilets, doing thing, checking the place over. If you want to come up, and if somewhere warm.
It was his second home almost.
It was his reason to get up and get dressed in the morning. And I think that's one of the things that we never really understood from COVID until it was too late, that isolation and disruption of people's lives. The good thing that came out of COVID, though, is we learned to trust our values. As I said, you know, we paid every supplier everything we owed them, right up to we were zero balanced, because we were we have a lot of local suppliers. Most of them are local family businesses. And we were like, we won't be the reason somebody else doesn't get back up.
Exactly.
We kept in touch with our teams, and we took the time to really focus on, well, where do we want to go? So in many ways, it kept us sane. We were very lucky we had each other as a family. I think you'd probably say that
strong
too.
unit and contact every day.
Yes.
Did you not find that the fact that you probably all speak every day anyway, that was a great motivator as well, because you're able to bounce things off. Well, what do you think about this? And you know, and got real opinions. So it wasn't an effort that you had to go and phone somebody. It was just natural.
Yes. And you didn't feel lonely. Like, I don't know how people who are sole entrepreneurs got through that time, because it was
the decision making as well.
Yes, there was so many things happening, and one of us, like, was we all at some point went, we can't do this. How are we going to get through this? You know, and the other three would go, we can, come on, you know. And at one point or another, so you had a rally team around you, which was incredibly good. But
and great sounding boards as well. You know, that something might work. You might felt that it didn't work, and somebody go, no, it did, you know. So, and
I think for a long time after, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely felt like I was in a brace for impact mentality. You know, you just were watching everything. You couldn't relax. The high stress, even if things were going well again, you still couldn't relax. It took me a long time to sort of release that sense of what's coming next.
Yeah.
And that's quite traumatic. But we do look back now and think, if COVID hadn't happened, bearing in mind we're a 24/7 hour business, we would never have stopped. And if we hadn't have stopped, we would never have been able to think clearly, to restructure the business and restructure it for growth. And so, yes, COVID was a horrendous time. And no, I never want to do it again. But at the same time, we used the time wisely, and it really set us up for being able to buy 2 hotels within 18 months.
Take the next steps forward. Yeah. And you also had a great retention of staff. You know, you had 97% of staff that came back, which is incredible.
Incredible. And we then went on to win the Employer of the Year in the family business. And like, to say that from a hospitality perspective, you know, hospitality is never really held up as one of those go-to careers in schools or anywhere, really. So to win Employer of the Year was incredible. We were also finalised for the Irish News Employment Awards as well.
Fantastic.
And it was incredible to be up against all these other huge global companies, you know, that we're a small family business and being recognised in hospitality, an industry that typically never gets recognised.
Yeah.
And that's our real goal and passion. We want to have hospitality seen as a viable career, because it is a career that can take you around the world. You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a great story, and the teams that you have, the fact that so many people came back, they've been there for years, and a real loyal staff that you have. But you have one in particular as well, a lady, Rosie.
Yes.
Can you tell me about Rosie? Because I think she nursed you as well.
Oh, she did, yes. So Rosie
Probably give you the
likes to
tip around
tell
the ear
the
too.
story. So if I'm having a meeting, and Rosie works in Dunsilly's coffee bar, and if you go to Dunsilly's coffee bar, you'll know Rosie. She is a character. She's fabulous. She's just a ball of energy. Always has been.
Yeah.
And Rosie tends to like to tell people if I'm having a meeting with them, like, I used to nurse her. We used to put her in the high chair beside the dishes table and stack dishes up round her, peel carrots round her, and different things like that. But she really embodies sort of the values and the warmth and the heart, you know,
The real character of the hotel.
Yeah, and would really goes above and beyond for our customers.
Yeah.
She absolutely does. You know, she loves it and loves them, and they love her in return.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want that family value to instill to the very moment that person walks through the door, that they feel that they've come home.
Absolutely.
And that they feel at ease at the moment that they walk through the door.
They feel that they belong, I think. And that's an incredibly easy thing to say, but an incredibly difficult thing for people to find.
Yeah, very much so. And you talked about the allegiance to your suppliers and making sure that everybody was paid, and through those COVID years. And there's a great story about your dad buying TVs locally.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So Dad's philosophy, and again, he's always right, it's like buy local, support local communities, and that'll support you, because then there's more money in the communities and there's more money to buy our products, like, because we're not a need, you know, we're a want. People want to go out for dinner and different things like that. So that's always been his philosophy. So in this whole like local, purchase local, buy local, he was like, have people not been doing that? Like that's, you know,
what's wrong?
Why? Since when? So we had 2 or 3 hotels. So it was when the TVs were going from the box TVs to flat screens. Like, so it was a big, big change in society. And we had to get 90 TVs. And he went down to Moore's Electricals in Ballymena and walked in one Monday and said, I want to look at flat screen TV, 30 whatever inch, and blah, 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 blah. The person's like, yes, we have this. And he's like, right, okay, and what's the best price? At the best price? And the assistant was like, yeah. And he goes, right, but what if I'm buying 90 of them? And she was like,
I'll get the manager.
What? So she went and got the owner, and he came out and he said to him, in fairness, he said, Eugene, you could buy these much cheaper, getting them shipped in from China, than I'll ever be able to do. And he's like, yes, I could. But if one of them breaks, somebody from China is not going to stand on my doorstep and replace it. And he's like, I want to give the business to you. And that's a great relationship now. Like, still, it's a great relationship.
Yeah.
I think Moore's Electrical, one of our biggest supporters and like promoters. But anything we need, so if a TV breaks in any of the hotels, we just phone them up and they're like, yep, it's right on the lorry, it's coming now. You know,
and it's relationships, isn't it?
It is. It's relationships. And again, doing what you can do for your community.
Yeah, exactly. And paying back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when the decision came for the Armagh City Hotel, was that one that was in the offing for a while, or was it something that just came along and went, nope, let's make the decision, let's do this?
We were still in the growth phase, so we really wanted to expand. We were very clustered around County Antrim. We had our property in Donegal. We had now got one in the North Coast, and we really felt like we needed a bit of a wider spread, you know. So when it came up, we had already done the deal with the Minis before, with Donato Hotel and Gardens. So that was one of their properties. And it's really nice because we know each other's families. Hospitality people all know each other.
Yeah.
And being a family business to a family business, it was a really lovely private deal. Obviously, Armagh City Hotel was on the open market. So the first days we were going down to see it and then having chats. And again, it was a lovely process. You're dealing with really lovely people and local people, and all the owners were really lovely about it. And when we went down, we seen what it had been and what it could be again. Do you know?
And had the vision again.
Yeah, it's such a huge property. It's almost like a sleeping giant. And it was Armagh City as a city is a beautiful city, you know, and I just thought we could bring so much to this, and we can bring so much of our connections and international connections to shine a focus on Armagh as a city, as a destination as well. And that's what we hope to do, deliver something for the local community and bring more international tourism into the city itself.
Oh, that's fantastic. So have you immediate plans for renovations or the future of the hotel?
We do. If anybody goes to Armagh City Hotel, they'll be glad to hear we already have planning permission in for the doors.
Brilliant.
To make it more accessible. There's no accessibility doors there. We have already got architects and the original architects who helped design build. We got them in so that we can understand where things are and sewers and lines and whys and whatnot. We have started on bedroom corridors, new locking systems, new doors. We've done a few of the smaller conference rooms. The big CapEx spends then are going to start next year in 2026. So it'll be the big event space. We're looking at the AV, the digital, full refurbishment of those areas. And that will then roll out into more of the public areas. The lobby reception, we want to do a brand new look on that, but that'll come with the doors because we're going to be wrecking to it again. So we'll have to wait to
do it all in good time.
Yes. But yeah, like food and beverage, it's always been our passion. It's what's built this business. And that's something that we really want to bring to Armagh as well, that there's really nice bars, there's really nice options and for the local people.
Yeah, well, we're heading on Saturday for our Christmas do, so we'll give you some feedback on that. So we're looking forward to that. So this year has been great for you as well. Dillon's was awarded a 4-star status recently. And you've also then been awarded the Best Tourism and Hospitality Company of the Year by the Belfast Telegraph.
Yes.
And also a similar award by the AIB Business Eye Awards. So huge congratulations. And these awards, whilst these awards are fantastic, but what do they mean to you as a family and with the extended family that you have as well with the team?
I think it means an awful lot because we always say like we do more, and that's what we aspire is to do more for people, place, you know, customers, teams, everything. And we've worked incredibly hard. Like people think, oh, they've come out of nowhere, but it's been 40 years. We're 40 years next year. And to then get recognition to be the best tourism and hospitality company is such a massive accolade, especially because you're up against such great providers in hospitality, such great mega giants like Hastings Hotels, that company that we've always very much looked up to in a family. And to think that we're on that level, it's nearly really hard for us to take that in, you know.
But really well deserved.
We always sort of have to remind ourselves we're actually quite a big company now because we still have
You probably still think that you're back there in one or two hotels and when you actually look out, you went, oh, it's quite...
Absolutely, yes. When you were doing your intro, I was like, who's coming on? Who's this person? She sounds amazing. But I think that's a good thing too. I think you can get above your station. Well, you would never be allowed to get above your station, our family, but you know, you could. You see businesses in like second generations and they forget the sacrifices of the first. And that's not something Eddie and I want to do. My mum and dad were always very grounded and very much, if you want to come into the business, you come into it for the passion and the right reasons. And because you can add something, you're not coming in just because of a surname, and you'll never be forced in either. And I think that's important as well, because there's so many family businesses where generations below are forced into the business and it's not what they want to do.
They hate it. You know,
they hate it.
You have to have a passion. You have to have that natural love for the business. And
absolutely.
we find that if you love something with that determination, you can make a success out of that business.
You can.
If you hate it, it's never gonna be a success.
Absolutely. And you know, like family business, it's all encompassing. It's not like, okay, I've clocked out now and I'll not think about it again, you know.
You're in for the long haul.
Absolutely. My husband
hour,
goes, you know, we go to family get-togethers or whatever, and he's like, literally within 15 minutes, I'll turn to something like, we'll look at that Monday or whatever, It's
a family dinner is not a family dinner without some level of business. So you're very, very like me as well. And it's, scaling the business and you get to a certain point. And I remember sitting on a few different platforms and people saying about, where you've came from and where you are now. And do you find that you sit sometimes and think, who are they talking about? Exactly what you've just said. This imposter syndrome is, I actually shouldn't be here. I should be back at work.
I'm always waiting for somebody to tap me on the shoulder and go, how did you get in?
It's not you.
I don't know. I think I talk about this a lot with different friends who are very, very successful people, and everybody feels the same. And I don't know whether it's a predominantly more a female thing or whether it's just a Northern Irish thing where you just feel like you could be doing more, or you're not good enough, or you got there by luck.
Yeah.
And the reality
you're winging
is,
it.
Though it was hard work.
Yeah.
And you put a lot of hard work, and it's about getting the right people around you and different things like that. But I do think it's a problem that, and I don't know why, because I do feel like that as well, I think.
And you're definitely not an imposter. I confirm. You're not.
Even as a parent, sometimes I'm like looking around for the more adulty adult, to take control of the situation. I'm like, oh, that's me. That's me, And thinking, gosh, when I was a kid, I thought my mum had all the answers. And I just assumed I would have all the answers, but now I realise she probably didn't. She was winging it like the rest of us.
We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. So a lot of hotels now in the portfolio, can you talk about the 10-year vision that you have going forward?
Eddie and I have this, the moonshot as we call it in the Scale X program. We have this vision of McKeever Manhattan. And we always say it and have a little bit of a laugh. But that is our moonshot vision. And I suppose, will we ever get to Manhattan? Who knows? But it sort of encapsulates the vision and the excitement. I think it's sort of like, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere type thing.
Yeah.
But it says that we want growth and we want to always be head up, looking forward, and always looking for the next opportunity to grow and develop. And that's what we plan to do.
Yeah. I think we have this insatiable appetite and it's not for any one particular reason. It's just because we feel that we can and we really want to do this, So, and it's a fantastic, we've met a few times on this program, and we're sitting with like-minded people.
Yes.
And it's, you come away just feeling just naturally inspired.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic program and setting out your vision. And that's really important to set visions out, because as we chatted about earlier on, once you've set that out, once you've actually put that out into the arena, things start to happen naturally.
They do.
That you didn't actually think would occur.
They do.
So that it's really important to set that out. So it is.
It is. It's absolutely important. And, like you said about things happen naturally, since Eddie and I started talking about this. And I don't know whether it's like things have happened or you just wouldn't have been aware of it because it wasn't in the forefront of your mind. But suddenly people are like, oh, we're architects and we have an office in Northern Ireland. We have one in Manhattan. And you're like, oh.
Did you read my mind?
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, we just supplied into the US to one of our suppliers and we're designing this and that and there. And we're like, oh,
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's before you would have went, okay, but never thought about it. But now you're more focused on what.
More aligned, more in tune.
Yes. Yeah.
And sustainability, because that's part of a vision as well and part of the future. And it's a vital aspect of any modern hotel.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me about your Green Rooms initiative? Because this sounds great.
So Green Rooms came around, I suppose it came around because we do charities of the year, every year. And we then started going, you know what, our team should be involved in it. It shouldn't just be us deciding. And so now staff every year get to put in their submission for charity of the year and they have to write like 50-word why. and the charity has to be local, Northern Ireland, and the funds stay and go to a charity in Northern Ireland. Donegal would do separate, and it has to stay within Donegal. And that's sort of our commitment, giving back to the community. So when we were looking then at sustainability, there was a lot of different places doing, if you forgo your housekeeping, because housekeeping is a massive cost, but there's also massive like tiles, washing, water, everything like that. So we were like, right, well, we will forgo the £5 that on average it takes to service a room. And a lot of people were doing it here to give the people a voucher in the bars or restaurants. And I thought, do people really want that? If they're staying. So we're like, why don't we give it directly to our charity? So they can be a green room and they hang it outside their door if they want to forgo their daily housekeeping. And we give the £5 to the charity, and then companies for corporate or the tour operator agents that we work with, they then can get a tally as well at the end of the year to say, this is how many green rooms, this is how much money we contributed through our business to give to charity. So last year we raised 20,000 for the NI Children's Hospice.
Fantastic.
Which was fantastic because they were going through their crisis of beds. And that's where it really came about, because we were like, how can we do more is what we always say. And when their whole bed crisis came around, we were like, why don't we do something with the bedrooms? And this can help open a bed or keep more beds open for the Children's Hospice, which is fantastic, vital services.
Yeah. And do you find that guests buy into that?
They do. I think anybody in a multi-stay, you have your two towels in, you don't change your towels every day. Well, I don't know, maybe people are going to judge me now, but I don't change my towels every day in the house. So I think people go, do you know what?
I'll do my bit.
Yeah, I'll do my bit. It's not a big deal. It's not a big, I can pull my own bed duvet up.
Exactly,
and people are quite happy
and we're all
to do
very
that.
capable of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
What other sustainable practices have you got going on with the McKeever Group?
I've got everything. Eddie's probably the one that's more up to speed in all this, but boiler management systems is a big one. Again, like I said, hotels are big energy eaters, they are, and we have to minimise our impact. Our fleet of corporate cars is all EVs now, and we've EV chargers in every hotel, LED lighting, cardboard crushers, full recycling programs. We have solar panels on most of the hotels. The other ones are rolling out. Yeah. I
think that's definitely the way forward. Absolutely. Everybody's putting solar on now to try and diminish down the amount of kilowatts that they're using to start off with, but also the saving that it can bring as well.
100%. And there's even things like we used to get daily deliveries, and now we're like, well, non-perishable things, it has to be a 2-week delivery. So you have to be organised and ordered for 2 weeks worth, because it cuts down on the transport, the diesel, the carbon that's all been used. We really work with our suppliers in terms of reducing single-use plastics. Like there's no single-use plastic straws or anything across the business. And it's just practice like that we're trying to...
Even more lean practices as well.
Yeah. And you think, once you start seeing the waste, you can't unsee it. Yeah, and you think, this is just crazy.
And it's getting the whole buy-in from the entire teams.
Absolutely.
So everybody's part of it. It's not just one voice, it's the entire voice.
Exactly. So all of our waste products, like we work with McQuillan, and they do all our waste management, and nothing goes to landfill. Zero goes to landfill. It goes to like energy, reheating, it goes to recycling, it goes to repurpose, reuse. And that's something that we're really proud of, because, we have to do our bit. Like, let's be honest.
You do, but also the generation coming through need to avail of this, so they do. That we can't just be selfish in our own businesses and do what we feel is right for the business. It's right for everybody. It's right for the environment. We've heard more people talk about the sustainability and how they're changing their businesses. So the premise is really on us to make a change.
And you have to care. There is like a lot of like greenwashing and things out there. But I think from a family business perspective, and I know you guys are the same, you genuinely care what happens.
Yeah, we have a responsibility.
Down your street, and on your road. Exactly. And the people around, I don't want to be seeing landfills and litters and
for the kids coming up, for the children.
Yeah.
So aside of the business, Bridgene, you have a slight obsession with Formula One, I hear.
I do. Do you know, we were just on the phone, Eddie and I, coming down, and we were talking about, I wonder, could we go to Happy to Happy next year? You know, I know it was very like 3 people in the leadership title run at the very last race is not usually going to happen. But I would just love to go to something like that. You know, I've never actually been.
Really?
I've never been.
You're going to have to put it on the bucket list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I said I'd go when I was 40 and I didn't. Because of young kids and prioritising like family holidays. But we were saying about maybe next year will we just do it and go, because it would be amazing to actually be there and smell the engines and meet the people, the energy,
oil, the tires. Yeah, I've been. I was taken to Silverstone. And when we opened Renault many years ago, and it was fantastic. I brought my husband, who is not Formula One at all, and it was a total waste.
Either,
and I was walking around, and he was going like, okay, this is great, you know. And I was in the pits, and it was what an experience,
amazing.
Really good experience. Amazing. So definitely you're going to have to do that. And with the win at the weekend, happy with the winner?
Oh yeah, do you know what? Lando? Really happy. I think it shows Max Verstappen's like success, though, doesn't it, to come from where he came from and really carry Red Bull on his back. Let's be honest. It's so happy that Lando got it. I think last year you can see the mental toll it took on him, and I think that's where he sort of started losing it a wee bit. And to be able to keep it together, and especially with the 3 of them in the title race to the end, was amazing. But I have to say, like, I don't know why, but really in my heart, I want Williams to come back, and they've done so well this year. You know, I really am just championing them and you can see them starting to climb up now with Carlos Sainz and things and where they got to mid-pack. But I really want them to get really up there again, you know.
And they will. It'll come round again.
Well,
it's, you know, and
if you look at Mercedes, they used to dominate now.
Yeah. It's so volatile, so it is.
Yeah.
So, but listen, and in your opinion, who is the best driver?
Best driver, I think it has to be Max Verstappen, doesn't it?
Yeah, he definitely leads it.
He definitely leads it. I think if it's a good day in the car and everything's going right, like he's going to win. Like you see the positions he's able to make up. You see from where they were,
the maneuvers,
the changes the team went through, you know, of leadership and everything in the middle of the season, and he was still able to come back from all of that and almost win another title. I think it's an incredible focus. I think they all do. You know, you're kind of looking at these 20 drivers, you're like, oh, they're brilliant, and they're like they're the best 20 drivers in the world, and they're so young, and the pressure. And I've actually got, like, this is really now going to, but Mercedes book. So it was Toto Wolff sort of making Mercedes and different things like that. And it was all about they followed Mercedes during their time. And it was sort of that time between Lewis Hamilton leaving and going and that sort of transition time. But it was incredible, just the absolute purpose, vision, and how bought in everybody is to perfection and attaining perfection. And, you know, we talk about lean practices and we talk about productivity and culture, and you know, it's just the best of the best, really, to be able to operate at those levels.
It really is. And the levels are so high. If you take, you know, 10 years ago with a pit stop, how many seconds it took to the seconds that it takes now. It's absolutely incredible. I'm trying to get my guys downstairs to try and speed up. Get those tires off. So, but for you, what was your first car?
My first car.
Was it one of choice, or was it one that you were... This will have to do?
My first car was a communal car that we fought tooth and nail over, the scraps that me and my siblings had over who was getting it, who had like not put petrol in it, you know, everything else. And it was a red Fiesta, Ford Fiesta. And it was great. You know, it just gave you that sense of freedom. The first car then I bought was a Renault Megane.
Lovely.
Yeah. And it was gunmetal grey.
Real sassy.
I absolutely loved it. I loved it. And, I remember just being so mad because people work were like, oh, did daddy buy you a car? And I was like, no, I bought this myself.
I know.
You know, but I remember saying to my mum, and my mum was like, you know, you can say that to your blue in the face.
It won't matter.
It won't matter. And why do you care?
Yeah,
you know you bought it yourself.
You have to be self-assertive with it.
My favourite, though, of all time was an Audi A3 three-door car, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And even now, I sold it to my sister, and she drives it, and I'm like, I still love that.
Love it.
I know, exactly. Let me sit in it.
Family events, I'll just sit in your car.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it.
And if you had a choice today, no limits, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you know I'd probably get that Audi back?
It's probably overpriced now.
Probably. But yeah.
There's emotional value in that, she'll know that.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know, to be honest. I haven't really thought about it in such a long time. It used to be like an Aston Martin, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, they can mold the seats to your body and all this here sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. But they just park it up.
I remember I was on the car park and it took off and it was like, the side so smooth and took off. And I was like, oh, Dad, listen, look at that. Yeah, that's amazing. And he was like, well, for a couple £100,000, I did think it took off smooth. And I was like, yeah, that's right.
Probably be around a lamppost in no time or scuffed. And then that's the end of that.
Absolutely. I'm not a great parker, so that would be a problem.
So can you share something that not many people know about you?
I would say not many people. Well, I think Formula One, I don't know if many people know like how slightly obsessed I am about that. I would say not a lot of people know that I am incredibly shy.
No.
Like really my natural state is to be completely introverted.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to think, oh my gosh, introvert means that you're shy and you're not capable. But then learning more about it, it's like, no, it's just where you get your energy from. So I get my energy from alone time, whereas extroverts get their energy from talking to people and socializing. Yeah. But I lacked real bad confidence when I was younger. Really bad confidence. Always thought like people wouldn't like me. A natural assumption was people weren't going to like me. But I don't know why. But that was my natural going into a situation assumption. And being in sales and marketing, obviously you have to talk to people. You can't just go, I'm not going to do that. And I really had to train myself like to go into situations where I wasn't comfortable and learn how to deal with that. And I think that's something that hopefully other people can take from this is that you don't have to be the show person. Do you know what I mean? But you can train yourself to do stuff. You know, you can change your mindset on it. And I remember I used to stand going into an event and now I wouldn't think about it, but in the early days I did. And I'd be like, if I stopped outside the door before I went in, I would never have went in. And I just had to go through the door and start talking to the first person. And as soon as I did that, it was fine. It was fine. But if I actually thought about what I was going to do, I just would never have done it. I would never have opened the door. And I suppose it's a bit of a thing for even leadership or life to go, just open the door and go in.
Yeah. Make that decision.
Yeah.
Make that first move. And we've learned that as well. But I also think that's something that comes of age, that confidence. You know, as a younger you or a younger me, probably very similar and didn't feel comfortable. And again, that imposter syndrome coming through. And I think through experience and growth, we continue to push the boundaries slightly. Yes. And it's making sure that we are the first to put our hands up. Yes, it's really uncomfortable, but do you know what? We're just going to, you have to do it.
And I think that's part of it, isn't it? You have to learn to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You have to. If you're going to be in business or life or leadership or anything like that, you got to get comfortable with being a bit like,
yeah, the fear.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that it? If you're standing on the edge going like, well, I just have to take the jump.
Yeah.
I have to take the leap of faith. And that's just what it is.
Exactly.
You know, well, Bridgene, I hope that you have felt comfortable through this. Great. This has been a great chat. And thank you so much. And thank you for opening up about McKeever Hotels. And we wish you every success going forward, because I know that I'll be flying to New York to your hotel very soon. Well, I know this will happen. This will happen. You have, between you and Eddie, it's infectious, the vision that you have as well. And we can only wish you every success with it. You've done incredibly. Your parents must be so proud, really proud of the
proud and slightly scared of our ambition. But no, thank you very much for having me, honestly.
You're more than welcome.
Talk to you all day.
I know, it's great. So that's it for the episode of Break Time. And Bridgene, if somebody wants to hear about McKeever Hotels, where do they go to find out about your group?
LinkedIn, we have McKeever Hotels keeps up to date with business things, or you can look at the individual hotels' websites or reach out. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn and ask me anything. I'm pretty open book. That's one of our things.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So, Bridgene, thank you for joining me and sharing so openly, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself. So if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and share it with someone who loves a great success story. So thanks for listening, and join in next time for more guests, more stories, and more inspiration. Bridgene, thank you.
Thank you.